Chapter 74. Are you still angry on me? She didn't expect anyone at least same as Diamond on the top of that old roof. How did you find me? He smiled. Oleg told me where you often spend time when you are free. He stepped closer and Dominic was afraid of his smile. It always left impression on her, strong and absolutely with power to have left her without control. Was that love or passion? Whatever she was, at the same time very nervous and wishful for his present. Only a present. No, I'm not angry. You have right on your life. She battled her lung and in a moment regretted because of something what she didn't want to say. What do you mean? My right? He was now confused. Nothing. Well, when you are already here, please help me to find something which I've been looking for before you came. It is some piece of a matter with that mark MP on it from Second War. She couldn't look at him in his eyes. Yes, I know, it is here. He took what she was asking for, his packet, with strange expression and question in eyes. She looked at him and took a thing from his hand, but he didn't allow her to remove it very fast. Wait, said with whisper. I don't think then in this moment anything could be more important from us. Dominic didn't move. She liked his touch, even that her feelings were changing from pleasant passion to disgust on a thought about his adventure in study room. I don't have time to play game with anyone, especially with you. Emotions are sensible and wholly part of my soul, so try to respect it. I'm not going to give myself to you only because you need to full and satisfied your biological wishes. She was rude, but I didn't respect it any moment. I really respect you and your personality, and I don't know where you got the idea about my wish to play game with you. You are special to me, and remember, whatever you think, however you feel, I am not going to give up until I will get any expression that you stop to have the tiny bit in your heart, and that sign belong to me. He kept her hand during spoke, and when said what was on his mind, let it down. Dominic looked at him and tears in her eyes, but she couldn't say anything. She went out in hope that everything would be finished soon and they could went back home. She missed her life. Even that this piece looked very lovely in others' cases. He left, but they took her in opinion. He left, but they took her in a prison, sad woman with the last branch when she came back after 2 days home. When they took him, where did he leave? Asked young professor, back into his country. Your friend brought some people who helped him. His trip will be over your country. She looked at him with some kind of doubt, and he was also involved in that game. And she went, and they allowed her to go out. This was careful and walk on an ice question. I don't know. Her destiny is only in God's hands. The best could be if they allow her to leave a country, better than to spend her time in a prison. She was very tired, but her spoke didn't show any kind of excitement. Baby will be here, she said short. That baby had later a baby boy, and that is your friend, Diamond, not Oleg. Diamond. They sent him somewhere on south to live with my friends, and he lives out of this country. That is best for him. But our old witch decided to send her grandchild, who is Oleg, to take care about every of his step. And do you know why? Because of that hotel where you live. My old friend came here yesterday, that one who was here last time with our revolutionists. He was looking after his son. Dominic felt sickness. Her grandfather said that he had a meeting with the same man to help the other one to find his son. How world was small, but next surprise really made her felt confused. And his son is no one else than your professor. Now it was over a shock. Maybe she was in danger. So many secret and so many people whose didn't know who they really were, and connection with very dynamic past. And that poor girl, why she was a victim. In other case, she would ask, but now it has been matter of trust. Dominic didn't have that kind of privilege. Yes, and that boy was first boyfriend of Oleg's mother. Dominic took a bit of water and didn't want to thought about only two leads of the reasons of tragedy because she has been there on the first place. Chapter 75. It is a cold evening. It was like that, but became more frozen to Dominic when she heard a voice by her professor. She didn't know what was said or how and explain every of knowledge that old professor told her. If she discovered secret, would be a punishment for her. What if everything is huge, dangerous for her family? Grandfather, what happened with him? She didn't see him. You are not feeling well, asked with a very kind voice Professor, as he wanted to encourage her. I'm feeling very cold. She crossed her hands over her breasts as wanted to protect herself of everything and that man also. It is better if you go inside, he worried. Yes, but I have to talk with you. She regretted but didn't want it to give up. I know, but we will have a meeting tomorrow morning. All of us. Then you may say everything. He answered as knew that she found out a real truth. Probably all of them were in some kind of land or kind of connection. Everything, she asked in a way that he couldn't predict her thoughts. Yes, everything. He gave her a gentle smile, but instead she felt better. She felt more responsible. Tomorrow she would set her opinion and she would had to express her conclusion about misfortune of their young college. My professor, I think that this is a time when we should forget our past and that it is time for us to start from the beginning. One day after years old but still good looking woman met now mature and successful man in the middle age. It was the night before New Year. I would like that, but I think that is late. I waited too long for your forgiveness, said with irony in his voice. I don't think that for forgiveness is ever late. God forgives. She said with smile, as expected that kind of reaction. I'm not a god. I believe in him, but my human nature does not allow me to compare with the perfect being as God is. He wanted to laugh, but woman was persistent. I've got a grandson. He's nice and beautiful. I'm so happy, she explained her euphoric. Congratulations. The professor was happy for her, but he couldn't pass over everything what happened in last years. Don't be on the end of your heart. It is double celebration, said this neighbor. Still didn't want to give up. Maybe tomorrow, and after that night, everything was as tomorrow maybe would be. That is what I could tell you about the close people that I met during the revolution. Nothing else, nothing more. I'm still waiting for my friend to come back, but now I doubt that something like that would ever happen. Maybe he is alive because he ran away. Maybe he changed his mind about noble of the revolution, or maybe he died somewhere. No one knows anything about it, but that side of the mystery was always a part of this kind of parts, because anytime we could use that story and destiny to protect ourselves. We always think about each other, no matter how huge sometimes seems that enemy we could be. The old man took a book from his table next to the armchair that he has been and gave it to Dominic. I'm old. I don't know how long I will live, but pleasure I have forever to ask. He looked at her reaction and, when saw a curious sign in her eyes, continued, Take that with you home. When I never did, maybe you could use it, or someone who should took that for years ago would found someone to take that over with hope. But maybe this will help you or someone after you. This is a whole story, sad. After Dominic left his house, she promised herself that every time when road would brought her on this side, she would never give up from chance to pass and not visited that great man. How many of that were living so sad on the border of poverty, and they gave and gave up from life because of the other's better life. They deserved much more luck if it is not so late. Chapter 76. Dominic came back in the hotel on the time when Professor said that meeting would be. Everyone were there, even her grandfather and his friend. Oh, welcome, Dominic. He was very kind. After a few days of searching, all of us has something important to say. I hope, said with very important note in his voice. Before we start with more serious subject, I think that is a right time for me to present a man who should be everything to me, and I met him here after so time. He had the tears in his eyes. This is my father. Everything in the room turned into direction of man who was there as Dominic's grandfather's friend. It was so much emotional and feeling situation that Dominic would never forgot it. Now I think that I owe you an explanation, said with low voice. We had problem with tragedy that happened here with our colleague. After well analyzed, we did the better job than police, but we got a very good reference by them and grateful words. She wasn't murdered, but that happened made us to search more on a field of society, especially in this area. Everything what happened about 60 years ago started with it, again on a little different way, but it is still going on. That girl, she could be explained, example, that something sometimes over us and without our control, warning us that we have to be more careful and more kind without hate in between us, because negative thoughts could destroy young life. And that is something what always happened if we don't try to help each other and at least gave nice words and support. It is important to be friends, it is important to share, and it is important to get on knowledge that lives sometimes do not continue long and that time is in borders. So do think about it and do not lose any time that. Professor turned to his father and they left the room. Dominic turned to her grandfather. Tomorrow we will be at home. You need to get rest and to forget everything about this, he said with relief in his reaction. Granddad, I don't think that it is completely the truth, what Professor said. Dominic didn't want to keep his thoughts inside of her. I don't think neither, but accept this way because you would be feel better than to think different, said grandfather because he told her once that sometimes too much questions could become very dangerous. Maybe you're right, said Dominic with low voice and remembered what told her old professor about using a victims and mysterious situation for every possible point in the protection of or because of something what could give explanation about their bad or evil moments. With slow walk, Dominic went into her room. She had things to pack, even that time didn't allow her to wear everything what she needed. She decided to forget about everything and everyone, especially about Diamond. But just in the moment when she wanted to start with packing, she heard knocking on the door. "Who is it?" asked Dominic. "Open the door, Dominic." It was the voice of Oleg. She slowly came, but he had some kind bad feeling that this conversation wouldn't continue in a nice way. Dominic opened the door and next moment felt a strong pain in the middle of stomach and only dark fell over her eyes. "What are we going to do with her?" Dominic heard the voice over her painful body. "Nothing. Maybe the best will be if we do the same as with that girl. She or see it succeed." That voice belonged to woman. That woman for who Dominic nearly thought how she could be nice. And that old professor overreacted about her. Dominic didn't move. She waited for them to continue. "Maybe you're right. No one has suspect, and I could have my fortune without her mixing." They knew too much. Diamond would be the only suspicion, and he already had bad reputation about his parents and family. Oleg sounded as very evil person. Dominic felt sickness she didn't expect that such a young person could be so ironic and selfish. We will think about the others later. First, it is important to finish with this girl, said with low and tired voice woman. But sound of loud came from the front door. It was the other woman's voice, and Dominic had to open her one eye to show who that was. The police, they are coming here. That was a girl from the hotel with whom Diamond had a love adventure with Dominic saw in the study room. What stupid of her to believe in. Such a strange relationship. Of course, that was an interest involved in everything. Police, you stay here with her and Alec, and I will talk with them. But when Dominic heard the man's voice, she started to scream so loud that surprised everyone. After 1 hour, everyone who had been involved in her kidnapping were in the police car. Time for her came. She heard the familiar voice of old Professor. Chapter 77. Dominic, are you all right? Diamond was first who she saw on the front door of the hotel. I'm sorry, she said, and instead to went further, she held him and started to kiss in front of everyone. What that's supposed to mean? He smiled. Do not ask, but I like it, she answered directly, looked in his eyes. I have to tell you something. He stopped her. No, I have to tell you something, but up there on the roof, where we will be happy, and do not mention anything about those two people because police knows everything and they are taking now with your grandfather and professor. He took her hand. I want you to meet my cousin. He slowly showed a young man who kept a speech in that small building. He held me a lot. He helped me a lot, said Diamond after he introduced the gentleman and when they were on the top of the building. See that revolutionaries are not so bad, said with smile. They wanted to put whole guilt on his head, but said and started to kiss her. So do you like this place? She nodded because her breath of the emotions was hard. This is going to be your new home. They told me that everything will be giving back to my family, and I am the only one. He was satisfied but far away from happiness. But you are sad. Dominic felt sorry for him. Yes, I never met my parents, and I don't know what happened with them as my cousin, whose father You know, famous old professor from Old Professor. Sorry. He was old, but he got a son, and that boy is he. Now Dominic didn't understand a bit. Wait, how Professor knew about the old professor? She asked. Because I told him, said, and put his lips over hers. The end.